Okay, today we're going to talk about Article 2. It starts like this: La Repubblica riconosce e garantisce I diritti inviolabili dell'uomo. Right, what do we mean by these inviolable rights? Viable rights of man. These are the rights to be me, the right to choose my religion, choose my political party, say what I think, choose my job, my wife, where I want to live, etc., etc. The right to svolgere la mia personalità, to express who I am, it's to construct my life for me. These rights are an expression of our individuality. They're very important in England. In England, they're highly valued, these rights to express who we are, and they started with the Magna Carta in 1215, where the king could no longer do as he wanted. He was suddenly limited. We had the rule of law, not the rule of man, of a man. And, that was kind of for us the beginning. Then you've got the Bill of Rights, and slowly we become much more down that road of inviolable rights. These rights, it says, they are recognised and guaranteed. La Repubblica riconosce and garantisce. Not it establishes, because they're part of us. If you take away these rights, you're taking away me. So they're not established by the state. They are part of our human nature. They are said to be inalienable. If they say if you take away these, we are less human. My dog can't vote, can't have a political party, can't have a religion, hasn't got a political opinion, doesn't choose his work, etc., etc. It just has instincts, and it's the same for us. To be a human being, we have to be able to express our individuality. And in England, this individuality is particularly important. So I would say these rights are very respected in England. Now, it says sia come singolo sia nella formazione sociale ove si svolge la sua personalità. So, as an individual, yes, come singolo, sia nella formazione sociale. We've got to understand what the founding fathers wanted here. Of social formation, we're talking about any group, any collective of people. It could be a school, could be scouts, could be a political party, a union, an association. They also must be able to express their personality, their identity. Very distinguishable from other groups. This is a little bit different. If you to really understand this and the difference between the English perspective, you have to go into philosophy. And our founding fathers were, the Italian founding fathers of the Constitution were philosophers. Because in England, a collective is seen as a group of individuals. It's not recognised this personality of a collective. It's said that is a Hungarian philosopher, Ludwig Wissen, said that only an individual can act. If you're in a collective, and the collective acts, it's still individuals acting within the collective. So it's not recognised, this collective. In fact, collectives in England can be considered as being oppressive if you don't allow the individuals with them to still be able to express their individuality from the collective. It's for the English, individualism is the way to peace and prosperity, because we can join a collective, but we still need to retain our individuality and recognise the individuality in others, that they are free to be them, to act as they choose. And the collective must not create this rigid identity that can limit the individuality of those within it. And the philosophy is, if we create a collective, we don't include everyone. Obviously, there will be a collective that's excluded, and maybe the individuals will be controlled by this collective and go against other collectives. So it doesn't create peace. Whereas the European idea is to create a collective for peace and prosperity. But what the English miss here is, obviously, in Italy, they don't just value the collective, that the social formation can be able to express itself fully and as a collective, recognise that as a collective, but also individuals are recognised as individuals too. So, slightly different way of looking at things here. And to understand that, you have to go down deep into the philosophy. And then it continues, e richiede l'adempimento dei doveri inderogabili di solidarietà politica, economica e sociale. So, again, solidarity is taking responsibility for another, thinking of other people's interests, not just your own interests, but really coming together in building relations and thinking of other interests. That is the other side of the coin of the individualism, of the diritti inviolabili, which is about the individual. This is about having the unwaverable duty to create these bonds and think of interests of the others, not just of yourself. Again, this goes a little bit against the English way of doing things, and we can see this in reality in many examples. For example, in England, the unions, the trade unions, are limited in their action. Often they need to have a strike. They need 50% of all the workers. It doesn't matter if they're in their union or not. 50% of all the workers. Not important who comes to the meeting and votes. It's 50% of all the workers. And if things aren't done correctly, the employers can sue the unions, and the unions must pay a lot of money to the employers for any damage. Whereas in Italy, it's much easier for the unions to act, and they're much stronger and given more rights as an association, as being able to act collectively. The individuals within the unions are not protected from the group, if you like. So we've got a little bit of a different bend on it from the English perspective. Yes, I mean, this solidarity, unwavering solidarity, really runs through your constitution and your legal system. Your civil law says if my wife needs money and I've got money, I must give her some money. And she hasn't got any. So that's an act of solidarity that, is by law. A worker must be paid a dignified wage to maintain him and his family. Or, for example, that's the unions are very protected as a group, etc., etc. So there are lots of laws where we see this solidarity being elevated to a very important position. In a class, if a student is messing around and he falls out of the window, often in Italy it's the responsibility of the teacher. In the court, the sentence will say maybe he should have done this. In England, the student has individual responsibility. This idea of me, the teacher, thinking of all the interests of every individual isn't even considered. It does say that the Repubblica richiede solidarietà politica e economica. So there is a solidarity politica. We must consider the elections and who to vote for and vote, and maybe economic, we must pay our taxes and we must obey the laws and other political, but also it is social, and the Constitutional Court has said this social solidarity is the solidarity for convivenza, which means it's between the citizens, it's between everyone. We see this in practice all the time. If you're English, you notice it. If you're Italian, it's more difficult to notice. For example, after school, outside the elementary school, always you see all the nonni waiting for the children. This doesn't happen in England. Or maybe the parents have this habit of always helping children with their homework, whereas in England it's always go to your room, do your homework, and they're protected less and helped less because we think they will grow stronger if we let them confront their problems on their own. We say that which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, or no pain, no gain. In England, we've got this attitude that if you help too much, children but also other people, maybe they don't develop and don't become strong.